Salam keluarga Malaysia. Hello and good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Shuhaida Arifin and you're watching News at 10. In our top stories tonight, Parliament is off to make way for GE15. PN led states to dissolve assemblies at the same time as Parliament. The 14th Parliament has been dissolved today to make way for the impending 15th General Election GE15. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob announced the dissolution of the Parliament in a special announcement at Perdana Putra at 3 p.m. today, hence putting an end to the rumours and speculations that have grown stronger since the end of September. Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri said he had obtained the consent of the Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah to dissolve the Parliament during an audience at Istana Negara yesterday.
Saya mengesyorkan ketua-ketua kerajaan negeri, kecuali kerajaan negeri Sabah, Sarawak, Melaka dan Johor supaya mengambil tindakan sewajarnya bagi membubarkan Dewan Undangan Negeri masing-masing pada tarikh yang sama dengan pilihan raya umum di peringkat Parlimen, meskipun beberapa buah negeri telah memutuskan untuk tidak membubarkan DUN masing-masing. Ia wajar dilaksanakan serentak bagi memastikan rakyat tidak terbeban selain kelancaran proses demokrasi serta menjimatkan kos.
Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri also hoped that the people would use their power to elect a government capable of continuing the implementation of Budget 2023, maintaining political stability, reviving and strengthening the economy, as well as maintaining harmony and unity of the multi-religious and multiracial Malaysian family. The 5-year mandate of the current government will expire in July 2023, and according to Articles 55 subsection 4 of the Federal Constitution, the GE15 must be held within 60 days of the dissolution of the Parliament. A total of 222 parliamentary seats are up for grabs in GE15 to enable a new government to be formed to govern the country and its 32.4 million population. The Barisan Nasional BN-led states will dissolve their legislative assemblies simultaneously with the dissolution of Parliament to make way for the 15th General Election GE15. BN Chairman Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi, however, said Melaka, Johor and Sabah state legislative assemblies will not be dissolved because they have not reached maturity.
Kerajaan-kerajaan negeri BN sangat prihatin bahawa kita tidak mahu SPR dibebankan dengan perbelanjaan yang tinggi jika pilihan raya negeri diadakan secara berasingan. Maka kami mengambil keputusan bahawa negeri-negeri yang yang berada di bawah Barisan Nasional tidak akan mengadakan pilihan raya negeri yang berasingan.
He said this at a press conference after officiating the 76th MIC General Assembly at the Malaysia International Trade and Exhibition Centre, MITEC, today. Previously, Pakatan Harapan PH announced that it would not dissolve state legislative assemblies in Pulau Pinang, Selangor and Negeri Sembilan, while PAS also made the same decision in Kedah, Kelantan and Terengganu. Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid, who's also UMNO President, said that BN is ready to face GE15 at any time. Rembau MP Kari Jamaluddin said he's ready to be fielded in any parliamentary seat in the 15th General Election GE15. He said many local leaders have offered their parliamentary seats to him, but it is up to the UMNO's top leadership to determine his position. He said even though many local leaders have offered their seats to him, he remains open to standing in any constituency in Negeri Sembilan or the Klang Valley.
Yalah, orang parti ni kita diminta untuk pergi mana-mana pun kita pergi. Yang offer tu ni pemimpin tempatan, yang buat keputusan ni pucuk pimpinan parti. So biarlah pucuk pimpinan parti buat keputusan itu, ya.
He added the seat for him so far has not been decided. Canary, who's also health minister, said this to reporters after a handover ceremony of the flood prevention project at Raja Perempuan Zainab II Hospital HRPZ2 in Kota Baru today. In GE14, Khairi BN won the Rembau parliamentary seat by defeating his challengers from PAS and PKR after garnering 36,096 votes. The restriction on the export of live commercial broilers will be eased in phases starting tomorrow. Caretaking Minister of Agriculture and Food Industry Datuk Seri Dr. Ronald Kiandi said the restriction will be relaxed by allowing the export of 1.8 million chickens per month out of the set limit of 3.6 million chickens per month. In a statement today, he said the decision was made following the supply of chickens, which started to stabilise in the third quarter with an average surplus production rate of 1.8 million birds per month. He said the ministry will continue to monitor the supply of chicken in the country as well as the implementation of live commercial broiler exports, which involve almost 100 exporting breeders through the monitoring mechanism that has been developed. Datuk Seri Ronald said each farm has a set export quantity limit based on the planning data and the monthly chicken production projections, which it has to adhere to, adding that non-compliance would lead to the suspension of its export permit. The minister added, decision to fully lift the restriction on chicken export will depend on the condition of chicken supply in the local market and farm productions. The restriction, which was implemented on 1st June this year, was to ensure the availability of chicken supply because of the government was committed to ensuring the continuity of the country's chicken production at an optimal level. Budget 2023, with the biggest allocation of 372.3 billion ringgit, aims to balance the sustainable domestic expenditure following global economic uncertainty. Economic Analyst Associate Professor Dr. Aimizul Hazmi Rashid said the fiscal policy is used to help with economic recovery, especially those who lost their source of income due to pandemic.
Jadi kerajaan yang prihatin, dia semaunya mahukan fiskal yang mengembang dan jumlah yang diberikan dalam belanjawan adalah satu jumlah yang besar kerana dia kata mungkin nanti apabila kita memberikan suntikan kepada ekonomi secara fiskal, nanti ekonomi itu akan berkembang, terutama kita harus menguatkan ekonomi domestik kerana ekonomi global mungkin berkurang. Jadi bila ekonomi domestik itu berkembang tahun depan, secara tak langsung nanti dari segi pendapatan kerajaan akan bertambah kembali.
The analyst was met in Angkasa Puri, Kuala Lumpur today. About 1,000 first aid kits were sent to islands near Mersing, Johor as preparation to face the upcoming northeast monsoon season. The kit, comprised of food and essential goods, have been distributed since early this month. Commenting further on the matter, Johor Welfare Department Director Muhammad Hapil said 815 of the kits were sent to 5 islands and 3 orang asli villages in Mersing, while the rest of the kits will be sent to orang asli villages in Segamat as soon as possible. He said the department is also ready to face the possibility of flood incidents and to activate flood relief centres.
Kita telah aktifkan seramai 345 orang kaki tangan, kemudian dibantu oleh rakan-rakan kita ni daripada Sukarelawan Jawan Kebajikan dan juga Southern Volunteer. Dan kemudian kita dibantu juga oleh rakan-rakan kita ni kalau misalkan kata berlaku PPS ni, kita telah buat mesyuarat koordinasi daripada Yayasan Pembangunan Darul Takzim, daripada LPPKN dan juga Jabatan Pembangunan Wanita dan juga Southern Volunteer.
The Welfare Director added that all preparations were made since February this year. A senior citizen was among 2 men detained by police on suspicion of smuggling duty not paid contraband liquor worth 112,218 ringgit and 60 cents at a premises in Bukit Pasir, Muar, Johor yesterday. Muar Police Chief ACP Rais Mukhlis Azman Aziz said the 2 suspects, aged 47 and 62, were detained by a task force from the Crime Investigation Department of the Muar Police Headquarters and the Battalion 6 Bakri General Operations Force PGA under the Op Contraband at about 4 p.m. In a statement today, he said police seized 137 cartons containing 3,288 cans and 55 cartons containing 1,120 bottles of liquor worth 104,218 ringgit and 60 cents. He also said a Proton Wajah car worth 8,000 ringgit was also seized during the operation. ACP Rice said both the suspects would be remanded for 5 days starting today to assist in investigations under Section 135, Subsection 1 of the Customs Act 1967. Coming up, Invest Smart Fest 2022 set to sharpen investment skills. The role of every quarters in making mental health a priority is the focus of World Mental Health Day, which is celebrated today. In a statement, Caretaker Health Minister Kari Jamaluddin said this is important in efforts to raise awareness on mental health issues. He explained that the World Health Organization (WHO) reported that since 2020, incidents related to depression rose by 25%, meaning that about 1 billion individuals in the world are suffering from depression. Even Malaysia showed increasing trend of mental health among its people, including suicidal tendencies. As such, to ease all members of the public access to psychosocial helpline service, Kari said he will be introducing the HEAL helpline 15555, which will begin its operation starting this 21st October. After a 4-year delay, Maran Hospital will be ready by the end of next year. Caretaker Deputy Minister of Housing and Local Government Datuk Seri Ismail Abdul Muttalib today said news about the construction of the 350 million ringgit hospital was announced during the tabling of the 2023 budget last week. He said the hospital was first approved under the 11th Malaysia Plan by then Prime Minister Datuk Seri Najib Razak. The 150 million ringgit project was supposed to begin construction in 2018, but it did not happen following the change in government. The project will benefit more than 140,000 people in the district and surrounding areas, including the Orang Asli. Till today, Maran remains the only district in Pahang without a hospital. The 76-bed hospital will be the first dedicated infectious disease hospital in the East Coast. Datuk Seri Ismail, who's also Maran MP, was met after visiting the hospital project site in Kampung Batu 55, Jalan Kuala Sentul, Maran. The hospital was approved by the Barisan Nasional Administration under the 11th Malaysia Plan 2016-2020, and the groundbreaking ceremony was held in May 2018. The project was suspended in March 2019. The hospital, which was initially planned on 20-hectare site, was supposed to be completed this year. The Securities Commission Malaysia SC has called on investors to deepen their investment knowledge by attending the Invest Smart Fest 2022, which will be held from 14 to 16 October at the Kuala Lumpur Convention Centre. The annual event organised by the SC in partnership with capital market institutions, associations and related agencies is part of the SC's effort to protect investors in fulfilling its mandate as the Malaysian Capital Market Regulatory Agency. In a statement today, the SC said that there will be talks and seminars by leading industry experts at this year's event themed Investing Wrongly is Costly. During the 3-day event, visitors can get a complimentary financial planning consultation provided by licensed financial planners under the existing #FinPlanForYou initiatives for investors. Those who are interested and would like to get more information on the festival can visit the InvestSmart website and its social media accounts on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and YouTube. Loud blasts rock Kiev city centre, then and more, coming up in our foreign segment. Europe may fear an energy crisis over the coming winter, but for Iraqis, an unstable power supply and frequent blackouts have been a reality during decades of war and turmoil. The West Asian country is rich in oil, but endemic corruption and devastating conflict have taken a heavy toll on its infrastructure and forced most of its 42 million people to adapt. A retired public servant said resourcefulness and money is needed to ensure a stable power supply when the national grid can go down for 4 to 10 hours a day in a peak summer consumption. Soaring energy prices fueled by Russia's war in Ukraine have forced a new reality upon European nations, where people are asked to limit the electricity they use for heating, lighting and cooking. Despite its oil wealth, the country relies heavily on energy supply from neighbouring Iran. With its mighty Tigris and Euphrates River, Iraq has some hydroelectric power but no nuclear plants, and is just beginning to explore renewable energy options such as solar panels. In a bid to overcome the common blackouts, Baghdad has nonetheless moved to increase domestic power production. It now generates more than 24,000 megawatts per day, said Electricity Minister spokesman Ahmed Musa. To secure stable nationwide power supply, however, 32,000 megawatts would be needed daily. Taiwan's leader warned Beijing today that the island would never give up its democratic way of life in the National Day speech, in which she drew parallels with Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Taiwan's 23 million people live under constant threat of invasion by China's Communist Party, and Russia's war in Ukraine has revived fears that Beijing might attempt something similar with the island. In her National Day speech, President Tsai Ing-wen compared Moscow's invasion to Beijing's goal of one day taking control of Taiwan, which it has vowed to do by force if necessary.
我要呼吁北京当局兵戎相见，绝对不是两岸的选项。唯有尊重台湾人民对主权和民主自由的坚持，才是重启两岸良性互动的根本。
Tsai's speech comes less than a week before China's ruling Communist Party Congress opens in Beijing, where President Xi Jinping is widely expected to win a precedent-breaking third five-year term. Democratic Taiwan, which China claims as its territory, has come under increasing military and political pressure from Beijing, especially after Chinese war games in early August, following a Taipei visit by U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. A series of loud explosions rocked Ukraine's capital Kiev early this morning, a day after Moscow blamed Ukraine for a deadly blast on the bridge linking Crimea to Russia. The explosion hit Kiev around 8:15 a.m. local time, and an AFP journalist in the city saw numerous ambulances appearing to head towards the scene of the blasts. Video posted on social media showed black smoke rising above several areas in the city. Russia's last strike on Kiev took place on 26 June. The explosions came a day after Moscow blamed Ukraine for the explosions on a bridge linking to Crimea to Russia, leaving 3 people dead. The blast that hit the bridge sparked celebrations from Ukrainians and others on social media. But Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, in his nightly address, did not directly mention the incident, and officials in Kiev have made no direct claim of responsibility. On Saturday, Russia said some road and rail traffic had resumed over the strategic link, a symbol of the Kremlin's 2014 annexation of Crimea. The 19-kilometer, 12-mile bridge is a vital supply link between Russia and the annexed Crimean Peninsula. Some military analysts argue that the blast could have a major impact if Moscow sees the need to shift already hard-pressed troops to Crimea from other regions, or if it prompts a rush by residents to leave. A Spanish Coast Guard vessel transported 23 migrants found in the Atlantic Ocean to the port of Aguinegin in the island of Gran Canaria today, the Red Cross said. The migrants, all African men, were rescued as they travelled in a dinghy 40 miles south of the island, the Coast Guard said. Every year, thousands of people leave North Africa to make the perilous journey to Europe. A total of 22,316 migrants crossed by boat to the Canary Island in 2021 after 23,271 made the crossing in 2020, Spain's Interior Ministry figures say. Last year, some 4,400 people were lost at the sea attempting to reach Spain, according to a monitoring group. Last week, 33 people making the journey from Africa to Europe died in the dinghy after travelling for 9 days, the sole survivor said. Spain's Coast Guard managed to find 4 of the bodies, which were taken to Gran Canaria. The French and Algerian prime ministers declared a wish to deepen their countries' ties as Paris seeks to repair relations with the former colony and major gas exporter. Prime Minister Aymin Ben Abdelrahman personally welcomed French Premier Elisabeth Borne's delegation before a top-level meeting mainly addressing economic cooperation. French and Algerian ministers present signed around a dozen texts, including declarations of intent on employment, industrial cooperation and tourism. Borne's 2-day trip to the North African country comes just 6 weeks after President Emmanuel Macron concluded his own 3-day visit as part of rapprochement drive. Ties between the North African country and its former colonial ruler had deteriorated after Macron last year questioned Algeria's existence as a nation before the French occupation and accused the government of fomenting hatred towards France. But the contentious subject of the two countries' history, particularly during the war, were not set to feature prominently on Borne's agenda. Borne and a cohort are the latest in a string of top European officials to visit Algeria, Africa's top natural gas exporter, as officials search out alternatives to Russian energy supplies since the start of the war in Ukraine. Ahead of a trip, Borne's office said the deliveries of natural gas to France were not on the table. Instead, the visit would focus on education, culture, and the ecological transition and the economy. Coming up in sports, Max Verstappen says the second F1 title more rewarding than first.
Kelas Letu de Langkawi Malaysia 2022, edisi ke-28. Selasa, 11 Oktober, secara langsung perlombaan peringkat pertama dengan laluan dari Kuala Pilah ke KLCC 3 petang dan sorotan harian 11.30 malam di saluran OK dan saluran sukan RTM.
The tussle among the cyclists to don the yellow jersey as the overall champion of Letu de Langkawi LTDL 2022 will be answered when the race begins its cycle from tomorrow to 18 October. Asia's oldest cycling tour race with a distance of 1,096.9 kilometres covering 8 stages is much awaited by domestic sports fans as well as local and foreign riders after the previous edition of LTDL was postponed. The last time LTDL was held was in 2020 before it was hit by COVID-19, and all are eager to see the top flight cycling tour, which is a UCI Pro Series road race. LTDL 2020 starts with a Stage 1 from Kuala Pilah to Kuala Lumpur, followed by Stage 2 Kuala Kelawang Raub, Stage 3 Putrajaya Genting Highlands, Stage 4 Sarawak Bernam Meru Raya, Stage 5 Kuala Kangsar Kulim, Stage 6 Georgetown Alustar, Stage 7 Kuah Gunung Raya, and ending with Stage 8 Kuah Buah Loop Langkawi. Despite the race's absence, fans will remember SOTL as one of the 23 acceleration zones and 19 climbing zones, which promises a thrilling ride for riders and enthusiasts alike. The participation of 6 World Tour teams, UAE Team Emirates UAE, Confidis France, Lotto Soudal Belgium, EF Education Easy Post United States, Movistar Spain and Astana Kazakhstan is hotting up the atmosphere at LTDL this time. Moving on to Formula One, Red Bull's Max Verstappen said that wrapping up a second successive Formula One title was more rewarding than the first. Speaking after his victory in a rain-shortened Japanese Grand Prix after his closest rival Charles Leclerc was hit with a post-race penalty, Verstappen relished his second successive championship.
Of course, when you get into the first one was very emotional because then you realize, you have achieved everything in the sport you wanted to achieve. The second one now, because of the season we've had, is probably more rewarding, but yeah, it's just very different feelings, which I think is great because it would be a little bit boring if they're the same, I think.
Sunday's race was halted after 2 laps due to heavy rain, but it resumed a little over 2 hours later, with drivers completing 28 of the scheduled 53 laps and full points awarded. Verstappen's win in Japan was his 12th from 18 races. With 4 races left, the Dutchman is on course to beat the record for most wins in the season, which, shared by Michael Schumacher and Sebastian Vettel, stands at 13. Verstappen was forced to retire in 2 of the first 3 races of the season, but has been dominant since then. Asked if he planned to race into his 40s like Fernando Alonso has done, Verstappen admitted it was unlikely. On to football, Cristiano Ronaldo reached another landmark in his remarkable career when he scored his 700th club goal in a hard-fought 2-1 victory at Everton in the Premier League yesterday. The veteran forward, who has found minutes hard to come by under new United coach Erik ten Hag, was summoned off the bench in the first half at Goodison Park for the injured Anthony Martial, putting his team 2-1 in front 14 minutes after coming on. Fellow Portugal international Bruno Fernandes said it was tough counting goals for Ronaldo because every week seems like a new record. He also expressed happiness for Ronaldo as he has been working hard to get the goal, which led to the team winning, something that was more important for the number 7 other than the record. It took Ronaldo to the landmark of 700 strikes 20 years and 2 days after his first goal for Sporting Lisbon as a scrawny teenager. He is now 10 club goals ahead of his once great rival Lionel Messi. It was Ronaldo's 144th goal for United across 2 spells at the club, added to 5 for Sporting, 450 for Real Madrid and 101 for Juventus. Alright, so that concludes this evening's News at 10. In our top story, Parliament dissolved to make way for GE15. Join us again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. I'm Shuhaida Arifin. Stay tuned to saluran Berita RTM. Salam keluarga Malaysia and have a pleasant evening.